Hi, how are you? I missed you. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everybody. Yes, the old thing. Yes, I know. I hated that place. No, I did not. I really like that place. I just needed a better camera for that and a better SD card. So to get that, I need, and I don't have that. So yeah, before I begin, I would just like to say thank you so much for so much of support that you guys have given me on my YouTube channel. And I know that even getting a few like 50 views on one of your videos is a big thing on YouTube, because you don't get that much of people just watching your channel just like that. And I would just like to thank you so much, because of your support, it really encourages me to find more new cases that will really draw you to my YouTube channel and everything. And I really love you guys for doing that, and thank you so much. So without further ado, let's just get into the video. So on November 29th of 1981, Natalie Woods, a very famous Hollywood star, was found dead 100 yards off the Catalina's Island's Blue Carbon Point. She was wearing a flannel nightgown, woolen blue socks, and a red down jacket. I don't know what that is, but they do. She was like Natalie Woods was so famous in Hollywood that she was famous from the start. Like at the age of 11, she starred in the Christmas movie, the iconic Christmas movie, The Miracle on the 34th Street. And in her teenage years, she starred in The Rebel Without a Cause, and later on within life, she starred in The West Side Story and Gypsy. Earlier in Natalie's childhood, her mother had said to fill her own child with the fear of dark water. And by dark water, I mean like deep. Like she had what do you call it? Tryphobia? No, seaphobia. Some seaphobia. We're gonna call it seaphobia because I cannot remember the term. And her mother was also into really those fortune tellers, and one time when she was attending a fortune telling session, the fortune teller actually prophesied that Natalie would be drowning, she would die of drowning. And so she got more scared that her daughter would die in any war scenes that involved even a bit of water. So this made her more conscious about her death and her life, so she controlled it more. Now at the age of 10 it is, when Natalie was filming the movie The Green Promise. The Green Promise, it's there was a scene where she was standing on the bridge, and the bridge collapsed and she broke her wrist, and the bridge was over water. So Natalie got more scared and gave her a lot of bad dreams and nightmares and hallucinations that there is all water all around her. And this also terrified of doing any water scenes. Then she began, it was also said that she was also scared of washing her own body and her hair. So yeah, this mother her mother was not a good a good mother figure in her life, that she literally made her child fear water for some reason. So on her 18th birthday, Woods went out on a date with the actor Robert Wagner. Mr. Wagner would be the latest star in the Hollywood series called Heart to Heart, who was at 26 at the time. They married in 1956, but they divorced just a few years later, and Wood married and divorced another guy, and then she married Robert Wagner again in 1972. Yes, she married. Now, Wood at the time herself told the media that she believed that her feelings of torment were rooted in the feeling that she did not truly know herself, as people had told her what to do her whole life, including her own mother. Okay, so pushing forward to more recent history, there was the weekend just after Thanksgiving of 1981, where Wood was working in the movie, the science fiction film The Brainstorm. It is really nice. It's probably on Netflix or something like that, where and with the co-star Christopher Walken. I really hate you guys. I have to find pictures of them. Do you know that? Now, Christopher Walken was also at the time very famous. Christopher was actually asked to join Woods and Wagner on their yacht, the Splendor, that weekend. According to the what do you call it, the captain of the boat, Mr. Dennis Denvin. We're gonna call him DD. DD, who worked with the couple for a lot of years, considered himself a family friend. Wood at the time had also become, very infatuated, like very flirty, and there was a rumor going around that Wood and Walken were having an affair. So this made Wagner flew out of where he was staying. I don't know where he stayed. I think LA at the time, or New York, because that was the hot spot for all celebrities. So he flew out to where the yacht was, where they were filming, so that he could make sure that Walken wouldn't make a fool out of himself. So, but he wasn't the only one who was jealous at the time. So it was Wood who was jealous at the time. So Wood was jealous because Wagner was having an on-screen romance with his co-star on the show Heart to Heart with Stephanie Powers, and I forgot to take a picture of her. I am so sorry, but if you search her up, you might get her picture. So the group left on the yacht on November 27th, just about 2 days before Woods would be found dead. So while on the first day, on November 27th, while they had the group, while they left, the day that they left, Wood and everybody was drinking, including DD, Dennis Denvin. And Wood and Wagner started arguing to the point on the day that on the night that Denvin, like DD, was so concerned about Wood that he actually asked Walken to intervene in this argument, but Walken said that he should never. Walken actually refused to intervene because he said that he should never intervene in a wife and a man's argument. So after he heard this, that he wouldn't get involved, so he took Woods ashore in their small dinghy called the Valiant. It was a thing which they used to get here and there from the yacht to get some food and supplies if anything happened. So yeah, he took them on a dinghy to Pavilion Hotel, I guess. Yeah, the Pavilion Lodge Hotel in Avalon. The first time when Dennis was questioned by the police, he said that he and all four of them stayed on the boat, but the police already had evidence that they did not, him and Woods did not spend the night. So he was he didn't have any other options instead of telling the truth. And he said that Wood and him spent the night in the same room, but the spent night they drank wine and some champagne and went to sleep. And he also mentioned that he and Wood were they were not having an affair. They were just she was so comfortable with him that she also considered him as his second father, and he would never do something to her. They had he was a father figure to her. They had such a good connection between them. After he said all of this, the next morning on Saturday, 28th November, they returned to the Splendor, where Wood had apparently decided to stay the night with spend the remainder of the weekend, as Walken has insisted to. The struggle was so real, and just saying insisted. hate myself editing this video now. Her to stay the rest of the weekend, and Wood said yes, and nothing was, nothing happened, and everything just went as they planned. After this happened, when she decided to stay, Vulcan and Wood went to a pub called the Doug's Harbor Reef. Later on, they were also joined with Wagner and Denver. And a waitress also remembered at the dinner time that they drank 2 bottles of wine, 2 bottles of champagne, and one man also drank daiquiris. I don't know what that is. She also recalls that Wood was, not feeling well, so she did not even eat much and for her dinner. And at one moment, she also accidentally, dropped a glass of a wine glass. And when they were questioned, Vulcan was questioned on what happened on this at the time, why did she drop the glass, he said that he was actually making a toast and it was his fault because he threw his glass on the floor after making a toast, and Wood just followed the suit. After she dropped the glass of water, it was very Dendron and Wagner had suspected a little bit of flirtiness, a little bit of spice in between of them, a little spark, things were getting steamed up. I really like this one. After that happened, Vulcan and Wood boarded the Dingy, the Violent, and went to the yacht, the Splendor, at around 10 p.m. While they were boarding, a witness from the harbor police patrol said that Wood screamed about something which he assumed was coming from a party that was going around, that was going around at the time, and he didn't think much of it. After that, what had happened was a witness sleeping aboard on a nearby boat also heard a person shouting around the midnight, and he thought that it was it was the party that was going on, and the people were just screaming because they were having fun. And the people who heard this was John Payne and Marlene Wayne. So Payne and Wayne actually were the witness who saw and heard everything. Now, after that, Payne also claimed that he heard a woman yelling, "Help me, someone please help me," coming from the stern of the Splendor and potentially from someone in a Dingy. After he heard that, he also claimed that he heard a man super drunk saying that, "Okay honey, I will get you," but his tone was so mocking that he claims that it was just someone associated with the party, and they were just leaving. The reports also said that there was a non-violent argument going around the boat, there was coming noises and people were hearing it. And when when Wagner and Vulcan were questioned on this matter, they said that they were having a political debate during the dinner, and they continued the argument while they were boarding the Dingy, the Violent, and after they boarded the Splendor, the yacht. And in the middle of that, they saw that Wood was getting bored, and she was not even interested in a bit anymore, so she just left and went a half hour after they boarded. So after that, after an hour, they continued the debate. After they had finished their the debate, after an hour, she left. He went to kiss her goodnight, but he saw her that she was not on her bed, and he found her missing. So at around 11:30 a.m. that night, Wagner and the captain Dennis Denman made a distress call to the Coast Guard saying that Natellie Wood had disappeared from the boat from the couple's yacht, the Splendor, about 6 hours later, taking us back where Woods was found a mile away from the Splendor, the yacht. The Prince Valiant, the inflammable Dingy, which she presumably left the boat on, was found washed up on rocks just a little further south. The ignition was off, the oars were locked, and it literally looked like the vessel was off the whole time, and she just wee, down the river. When the report from the coroner's office, the medical examiner's the coroner's office. Now, the coroner's office, if someone might not know what is the coroner's office, the coroner's office is the medical, examiner's place where they, do the autopsy and find out stuff. That is what the coroner's office means. So when the report came from the coroner's office, it said that Natalie's blood alcohol level was at least at 14. And police ultimately ruled her death to be accidental, and she would just wee down the water. Now, in the coroner's office report, it also mentioned that she also had bruises on her arms, on her lower legs, as well as a cut on her cheek. Now, though at the time these were all attributed to what might have been naturally occurred as she had fell on the water. So let's get on with the theories, shall we? The number one theory that Natalie accidentally fell into the water and drowned. The conclusion drawn by the chief medical examiner in the LA coroner's office, Thomas Noguchi, was that Wood had fallen into the water while trying to board the Valiant. Noguchi hypothesized that her down jacket had likely become heavy and soaked, but she never thought to remove it due to the inhabited state. The fingernail sketches found on the side of the Valiant shows that she tried to climb back aboard the Dingy. Eventually, she finally drowned due to the hypothermia and exhaustion. Ultimately, it's likely she clung to its side and drifted away from the Splendor. However, Wood's sister, Lana Wood, is to say on the notion, my sister was not a swimmer and did not know how to swim, and she would go to another boat or the shore dressed in a nightgown or socks. Speaking on the nightgown and socks, Robert Wagner also said that in 1986 in his biography that it was only after I was told that she was dressed in a sleeping gown, heavy socks, and in a down jacket that it dawned on me that what had really occurred. Natalie obviously had trouble with the Dingy slamming up against the boat. It happened many times before, and I had always gone out and pulled the ropes tighter to keep the Dingy flush against the yacht. She probably skid on one of the steps after untying the ropes. The steps were slick as ice, and the algae and the seaweed that's always clinging to them. After slipping on one of the steps, she hit her head on the boat. I only hope that she was unconscious when she hit her head onto the water. However, some have criticized this theory as the Valiant was a rubber Dingy, which according to Noguchi would make a very little noise. Additionally, Noguchi reported forensic evidence being attempted, including the untouched algae on the swim step. It appeared that Wood may have never been attempting to board the Dingy rather than just the rope. The police investigators also found broken glass in the Splendor's main salon, which Wagner attributed to rough seas, a possible factor in why Wood may have fallen into the water. However, it is here that the testimony of Captain Dides refers that he claimed that Robert Wagner grabbed and smashed a wine bottle after going into jealous rage over Wood and Vulcan's interactions. He claims that Wagner exclaimed that Jesus Christ, what are you trying to fuck my wife? So let's get on with the second theory, that there was a foul play involving Robert Wagner. Before we move forward, it's worth noting that Denvin is an unreliable witness for various factors, including that it took him years to come forward with what he says is the truth. Additionally, he seemed to realize bits of information of the tabloids after years following the incident in a relatively unsavory way. That being said, on the whole, many factors of his story being inconsistent with the testimony of other witnesses and other evidence. In fact, Walson's description of what happened when they returned to the boat is closer to Denvin's than Wagner's. Walken claims that claims an argument broke into Wood and Wagner over Wood's time spent away from family, to which Walken defended Woods at first, but then stepped outside rather than get further involved. When he returned, the two made amends. Denvin also describes this event this way. But instead of Wood and Wagner making up, he states that he also heard continue to argue from where he was on the bridge of the boat, and he claims that he heard the dinghy untie. He claims that there was silence until Wagner realized about 11:30, looking tousled and sweating profusely. Denvin also says that Wagner discouraged him from turning on the flashlights or turning up the engine in any attempt to search for it, saying that Wagner said he didn't want to alert the people nearby. Denvin has since said that he has always believed that something malicious has happened to Wood. He believes that she would have never tried to shore alone, and he feels sure that if she had to return, she would have to take her, as she had the night before, based on the new information, including from Denvin. The case was reopened in 2011. In 2012, the LA Coroner's Office changes the cause of death from accidental drowning to drowning on undermined factors. The report casts more questions on the nature of bruises, abrasions on Wood's body, positioning likely had have to happen on her body before she fell into the water. Dr. Lakshman Sastavagiswaran. Imagine singing happy birthday to him. The chief medical examiner said in their report the location of bruises, the multiplicity of bruises, the lack of head trauma, the facial bruising support bruising having occurred prior to the entry in the water, since there were unanswered questions and limited additional evidence available for evaluation. As of 2013, the LA Sheriff's Department spokesman, Steve Whitemore, has described the case as open and ongoing. Nothing definitive has closed it. However, he had also previously stated that Wagner is not a suspect. Natalie's sister said that I can't imagine that he, being Wagner, purposely would have done anything to hurt Natalie. However, I know that things happen when there is too much of drinking and fighting. Whether or not he was responsible, Wagner claims that he feels responsible in the part of her death in that he did not notice that she was gone sooner. Christopher Walken has spoken on the incident, saying that as a whole official saying that the people who convinced there was something more to it than what came out of the investigation will never be satisfied with the truth, because there is nothing more to add to it. It was an accident. Dwayne Rashur, the former lead police investigator on the case, still says that I cannot tell exactly how she got into the water. Hi, it is me editing. I know I forgot to do the outro again. I'll do it next time. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, click on the bell notification icon to get notified when I post new videos. Subscribe to my channel because it's completely free, and I know you like me, so do it, go do it now. I'm watching you. And yeah, and I'll see. No, before I go, I would just like to say, if you have not watched my the Watcher series that's already out, the whole 2-part series, you can go watch it. And yeah, I'll see you all later.